Hello comrades, welcome to another video. Now I bet you're wondering, what is this social dystopian mass exercise? Maybe you think this is some sort of a mass propaganda singing the praise to the communist regime and the Soviet Union. Well, it is, but it also isn't. So follow me on this deep dive on what Spartakiáda is, how it came about, what is its history, and how it met its final demise. Now first, we've got to go to the beginning of the story. Now I bet you're wondering, what sort of communist idea is this? Now, and you'll be surprised to hear this, it actually wasn't a communist idea from the beginning. Originally, it was actually much older, originating all the way back in 1862 during the Austro-Hungarian Empire's occupation of Czechia and Slovakia. Long before Czechoslovakia First Republic. Going to the beginning, before this was called Spartakiáda, it used to be called Sokol. Sokol was a mass gymnastics club which would have these mass performances in football arenas and open stadiums, signifying to people the image of strong body and equally strong mind. Now, Eastern European countries were no stranger to these Sokol movements, and Czechia wasn't the only country with its own Sokol movement. The Russian Empire had its own Sokol movement, and I believe Slovakia was experimenting with something like this at the time. The Polish have had their own Polski Sokol movement as well. Hungary, Bulgaria, Serbia and Ukraine have also taken a bite out of this Sokol cake and have experimented with their own little groups. Now, Sokol has actually played an important part in Czech nationalism and patriotism and strive for an independence after World War I. They even had a Sokol newspapers in which they were always debating the idea of independence, as many countries were trying to get independent from the Austro-Hungarian Empire before World War I. Now this fun fact is very interesting, and I think you're going to find this as fascinating as I have. So the Sokol movement has originally been inspired by the ancient Greeks' obsession with physicality and with looking after their bodies, and clean body, clean mind. And recently, Czechs and Slovaks have let the German Turbulence movement from the 1811 inspire them to create the Sokol movement. Miroslav Tyrš, also known as Friedrich Emanuel Tyrš, was a German-born Czech, was actually the founder of the Sokol movement in Prague in 1862. He continued the most influential figure in the movement until his death in 1884. Now, Tyrš grew up under the influence of romantic nationalism that gave rise to the uprising that swept across Europe in 1848. He received a thorough education at the University of Prague when he majored in philosophy. Now, the authorities of Austro-Hungary weren't exactly too happy about this, and the Habsburgs have kept a close eye on this growth of the Sokol movement. However, even due to these circumstances, the Sokol movement was rapidly growing, and eventually it was called the Czech National Army, and even had the nickname of that because the people were so patriotic and nationalist towards their independence. In 1889, though officially forbidden by the authorities, members of the Prague Sokol went to the World's Fair in Paris. They won several medals and established strong connections with the French gymnasts and French public. So there you go, just a little fun fact for you, little French-Czech gymnast union going on there. Now I think it's important to look at the turbulent years of the years to come. The early 1900s were a very turbulent time in ever-changing world, driven by wars. Not much different than what's happening in the world right now. This has left an impact on the Sokol movement, which has struggled from 1900 to 1914 and to the beginning of Dub 1. At the time, the Social Democrats have formed a workers' union gymnast party to try and rival the Sokol movement, and they've actually forced a hell of a lot of the Sokol movement members to join this party, or they've purged them out essentially. When the thunder comes and the nations rise up to defend their existence, let it be the Sokol clubs from which the cry to battle will sound. And then, unfortunately, the battle cry did sound 2 years later, with the rumours of Franz Ferdinand being assassinated in Sarajevo by a Serbian revolutionarist. Now, in 1915, with the emergence of World War I, the Sokol movement was actually disbanded. However, many members managed to persuade others to join and fight on the side of Russia rather than on the side of Austro-Hungarian Empire, which I think in the long run would come back around to bite them. But a hell of a lot of people, I think, can argue me on that one. In 1918, during the formation of the first Czechoslovakian Republic, Fun fact for you is that many of these Sokol gymnasts have actually defended the Slovakian borders from Bela Kun's invasion of Hungary into Slovakia. So thank you very much, Czechs, for that. They've actually defended their brothers and sisters in Slovakia to form this first republic, because otherwise, after World War I, the Hungarians really were hungry to still trying to get some of the Slovakian land back. Now, the Sokol has flourished in the early post-war period, and by 1930 it had 630,000 members and still was growing rapidly. The Sokols held one last sled, 350,000 Sokols, on the eve of Munich Agreement of 1938, and were later brutally suppressed and banned during Nazi occupation of Bohemia and Moravia. Now, Spartakiáda and its organisation of Czechoslovakia Union of Physical Education. Many of the Sokol members were imprisoned or exiled, while some took part in preparation of Spartakiáda. Now, fun fact, even with the suppression of the Sokol movement by the communists, they managed to have two more heroic resurgences. One in 1968 after the Prague Spring and the occupation of the Soviet Union of Czechoslovakia after they stormed the country's capital, Prague, overnight. And another one in 1990 after the collapse of the Soviet Union in order to commemorate the independence once again. Now, what did the communists cook up as they took the control of Czechoslovakia after World War II, you ask? Now, they took the control of the Sokol movement, changed the name and the cause of the event, of course, in their favour, as Spartakiáda was basically an event to celebrate the 1945 Soviet liberation of Czechoslovakia. This is a very tough subject, and a hell of a lot of people who are now an older generation who were alive at the time, or were young kids at the time, would tell you a hell of a lot of mixed stories of these, the Soviet soldiers coming and causing an absolute havoc and chaos in Czech and Slovakian lands. So you make your mind up on that, and if they should be celebrated or if they shouldn't. Now, the first ever Spartakiáda took place in the Great Strahov Stadium, by the way, in Prague, which is the largest stadium in the world, which I brought you in the last video of the brutalist architecture, so go check that video out and I'll bring you some more content from the stadium directly. And so in 1955 is when this first has begun and when the first Spartakiáda took place, and then it happened repeatedly every 5 years. Now, this totally blew my mind, so listen to this bit here. The Spartakiads involved large numbers of people. For example, in the 1960 Spartakiáda, about 750,000 gymnasts from the whole country took part, and over 2 million spectators witnessed the event. Czechoslovakian kids in primary schools had to belong to groups called iskričky, which is like a cute shortened way of saying sparks, basically, like a fire spark, like, you know, like a little spark you get. As they got older and they've entered secondary school education, they would graduate into pioneer, or pioneer, essentially. They would practice and participate in the local Spartakiáda and other youth building exercises like camping, shooting air rifles, and other scout activities. They would then become full-fledged grown adult socialists, which are part of the system and which are perfectly designed to contribute. Many people have actually got very fond memories of this camaraderie and the community and friendship amongst the kids and people who participated in the Spartakiads in spite of the communist regime. I personally think this is sitting on a very thin wall of promoting good health to kids and promoting looking after their bodies to kids and essentially practicing healthy living, but at the same time it's the propaganda of the system being pushed into kids from a very young age, nourishing them essentially to be good socialists, good little socialists for the years to come, and continuously celebrating what the communists have given to them. I think, it's sitting on a very thin wall of being positive and also being negative in a way. But my parents always tell me some interesting stories about these Spartakiadas and how it was actually quite a fun time, and the kids have really enjoyed themselves because, at least compared to now, they've had things to do. They had youth clubs, they had things to do. Now everything's been taken away from kids, so I'm not making my mind up. I'm not saying if it was bad or good, but you go make your mind up. You let me know in the comment section below, and you let me know if you participated in these Spartakiadi, and if your parents maybe participate and what their accounts are of these events. Now, this bit is actually very interesting because they actually even made a film about this in 2011. Now, in 2011, it was actually quite a heavy film, judging by its description, which goes as follows. Flower Buds tells a story of gradual breakdown of a family living in a small town. Each character lives according to his or her own ideals. Agatha wants a happy life far from home, fully aware that her only hope is to escape, therefore betray those close to her. Honza believes in the purity and power of love. regardless of the circumstances under which he is born. Now, this film, I believe, takes place behind the Iron Curtain, and it actually depicts the 1985 Spartakiáda, where a Czech singer, Michal David, has made a song, Polpata. Polpata, in translation, translates to flower buds. And it signified the little kids in the Spartakiáda as being the little flower buds and essentially the hope for the future of Czechoslovakia. It's actually very interesting because Michal David is quite a famous, quite a popular Czech singer who's made a lot of disco hits in the 80s and 70s, etc. And obviously he's also made a song, Polpata, which was actually displayed in the 1985 Spartakiáda. So it's blew my mind, that did. I didn't even know that myself, and I've only just found out last night when I was doing the research for this video. So let me know what your opinions on this topic are. Let me know what your opinions on Michal David are, if you know Michal David. If you're watching Michal David, shout out to you, my friend. Now, let me know in the comment section below what you think of this quick little video, and if you would like me to cover more aspects and more niche subjects of Czechoslovakia at the time. Let me know if you have any stories about Spartakiáda, or if you have any family accounts of Sokol movement or Spartakiáda from your family history.
Also, do not forget to check out my second channel if you would like to see more behind the scenes stuff, and if you would like me to help you get in the best shape of your life, lose some weight and get some tips and tricks, check out the second channel. Also, whilst you're at it, check out our Reddit page, /Eastern Comrades, where you can discuss some video ideas with me, various different topics, and genuinely just have a chit chat, alright?
And if you liked it, like the video, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any more of the interesting history and geography content. This channel is yours as much as it is mine, and I would love to do and prepare for you the content that you would like to see. So feel free to write anything in the comment section below. Let me know. Let's get a conversation started. And essentially that's it for this video. Hope you've enjoyed it, and have a lovely day. Enjoy the sunshine. I'll see you guys later.